Welcome to the Accessible Hunter Podcast. I'm Greg Trainer, along with my co-host Mike Hudson, and we're going to be talking with Dustin Lacer from Pennsylvania today. And Dustin is with Clear Sight Outdoors, and we're pretty excited to talk with him. But first, hey Mike, what's going on in South Carolina, bud?
Oh man, we're just trying to stay warm here, brother. It's getting to where we're taking on your weather, and I keep telling everybody come back and get it, man.
Man, I'm sitting here in a hoodie, and I think it's 11 degrees outside, and drinking hot coffee and hot tea. And my wife actually makes these rice packs that she sews and fills with white rice and tosses them in the microwave. And about every hour, I toss one of those on my neck to warm up. It's the only way I can keep warm.
Yeah, I usually have a stocking cap on. I think that's why I'm going bald even faster.
Well, you can see the glare off of my head this morning. I'm not wearing a hat yet, so I'm right there with you. Dustin, are you with us, buddy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for joining Mike and I, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to speak with us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys even having me on. And great to see both of yous.
Heck yeah, Dustin. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your company and where you're from and kind of what you're all about, man.
All right, so yeah, my name's Dustin Lacer. We're from South Central PA is where our base is, about 30 miles east of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Um, we have, you know, like we talked earlier, I have a two companies. Our mother company is equipment business, Dull Equipment Company, which was started by my grandfather in 1982. I started working for him in about 93, 94. So we have a construction equipment repair, a rental, sales business. Um, and that's kind of what morphed or gave me the opportunity to start the ClearSight company and design these trailers is through the advent of all the knowledge I learned throughout the last 30 years of the equipment business and the repairs and different things. We were a Genie dealer back in '08, and the economy went south and kind of lost our dealership, but we still service and repair aerial equipment, Genie, JLG, and all the other major brands. So have a background in that. Started hunting when I was 12 years old here in Pennsylvania. I have an older brother and a younger brother. My dad, we you know traditional Pennsylvania deer hunting. First day of buck season, then you had 3 days of doe season, and did all that, and kind of went out on my own hunting in my 20s, and got into archery and some different things, and um, have 3 kids, five kids, 3 biological, 2 stepchildren, um, from ages to 21 to 8 years old. And half of them hunt and half don't yet. um, so my oldest boy's he's 19, and when he was 8, he Pennsylvania had mentor hunting, which you could be younger than 12 years old to hunt, and it's hard as anything to keep him in the woods. So I decided I'm going to build a hunting blind for us, and did, and it made a successful hunter out of him. He was just always cold, and it's so hard to keep your kids in that in the hunting
Right, right.
end of it. You know what I mean? And so through the experience of the first hunting blind I built, I also built, and I didn't, you guys didn't know about it. It's on our website, and we're just playing around with it. I built a solar charging system that we put in our hunting blinds from start, and it was built out of the iPhone and my businesses. And we're archery hunting or rifle hunting in Pennsylvania, getting cold, and you hand your phone to your kid because I don't want to say it's a babysitter, but it does help sometimes condense them. So, but we always had it in the cold weather, even though we had hunting blinds and had heaters in them. The battery, if it's searching for signal or whatever, it eats the battery up. And I always forget the battery packs. You can buy charging sticks and packs you can buy, but I always forget to charge them the night after, the night before. You always leave it in the wrong bag, leave it up the hunting blind. So I'm like, I got to fix this. So I built a solar charging system that we sell on our website, that you just put the kit in. It's a little solar panel you put on top of your hunting blind, has a USB and a 12-volt charger, cigarette lighter, so you can run a fan like your windows fog up. And we do offer those when you buy the combination trailer, and the Pro 100 EQ trailer we built with our 6x6 blind on. It comes kind of in the package with that. So you guys are out there on your phones and charging in the woods, and GoPros charging those up. Even guys filming uh, like it because they can kind of get a battery, keep battery charged. So that was another necessity when you have kids and you're hunting and kind of, and I, for whatever reason, I'm always thinking in the woods like how to make this easier, better, safer, more efficient. And so that was part of it. One of the things that came out of the deal. Um, but throughout my journey through this, in the equipment business, we would trade in equipment, aerial lifts and back or skids, or, sorry, aerial lifts. We would trade them in, and there'd be some that were not worth, you know, putting back in service. But I could cut this thing apart, and I could put an axle underneath it and paint it and do this and do that, and I made a dozen of them at least in the last 20 years of one-off, not as much handicap accessible, but hydraulic lift trailers that we pull behind, four-wheelers or whatever. Sold them, but I never could really duplicate the units. It was always a one-off unit, and it just was just so tough. A guy'd want another one, and I had to find that model, and it just was not efficient. And whatever I paid, it was market value. Sometimes I'd pay, next to nothing for one. Next time I had to pay more for one, and I let it go for about 10 years, and just never messed with it. Continued hunting and doing things, and thought, well, I'm gonna get back into this. And I'd had a trailer dealership through a local trailer manufacturer here. And I was selling, just normal trailer, skid steer trailers and utility trailers for them. And I had my hunting blinds already. And I'm like, I need to marry these two together. Somehow, I'm just, I don't know why it just kept getting in my head. I needed to have these mobile hunting blind trailers or whatever. So I built a couple of them, just put our hunting blinds on top of a trailer and that you could hook a stick your four wheel underneath them. We do sell one right now. It's on our website. That's um, I call it the drop and hunt. It's a 5x8 trailer that you can put your ATV underneath, the blinds on top, and then you can actually take it all off and just utilize the trailer for the rest of the year. That came out of kind of the trailer marriage that I had in my one business and the hunting blind I had in the other business, and uh, and then a friend of mine, Bobby Hart, up in Berwick, Pennsylvania, was interested in that trailer for teaching long range shooting. He has a class where he takes guys to do long range shooting on a course he has, and wanted to do difficult shots and be able to change the shot all the time. That the course isn't, I guess, boring. We got talking about a bunch of stuff, and then he's kind of pushed me to like take it off the trailer. Can you make it that we can take it off the trailer? And I did that. And he's like, what about something handicap accessible or hydraulic? And I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And back in 21, I think 2021 is when I started playing with this trailer, the Pro 100, the Equalizer trailer. Um, and it was a trick, to say the least, because we had so many hurdles to overcome. And I think people don't quite realize when you're building a trailer of this capacity, there's so many parameters that you want to stay within. Because if you don't, it turns into a huge liability. That meaning we need to, guys are always saying, well, can we go? So our trailer goes about 7 to 8 foot platform height, fully extended.
Right.
So about 11 to 12 foot eye height. Guys like, oh, I want to go higher. Higher is wider in the
Right.
aerial lifts. I mean, it's simple math. So you go higher, you got to go wider with your footprint. Your ballast has to be heavier. So when you change all your dimensions, everything it changes the whole thing. And I wanted something compact, something that can be pulled with a utility vehicle or a side by side, but yet be able to be nimble enough to get in the woods, not be too heavy. And I didn't want to go too heavy that if I get too heavy in the state of Pennsylvania, a trailer over 3,000 GVW need brakes, you need enhanced inspection.
Right.
Then
Right.
you run into where does it stop? So our trailer had to be designed to have a small footprint, but yet be able to accommodate. And then the other factor I ran into was the lift capacity. So your track chairs are 400 pounds. Put an
Right.
average 200-pound man in there, and then usually they want to take a buddy with. So add
Yeah.
another 200 pounds to that. Now we're squeaking, 800 pounds or so, um, give or take. So that had to be incorporated into the trailer. So how do I figure all that out? So the first prototype, I have a good friend of mine has a machine shop, and we had to bend probably our scissors stack about 50 times because I would put 2,000 pounds on it and say, let's lift it. And it'd bend here, like, oh, weak point. And so we just continued to just build on, I had numbers in my head that I had to you know, get to, magic numbers. Size was in my head. Did I want to go bigger? Yeah. Bigger, better, all that, go higher. Um, but if you're and I had to take, I'm an able-bodied man, but to take uh, myself and put myself in a chair and say, okay, I'm in a chair and this is my eyesight level for just what it is. I'm at 7 foot, maybe sitting on the ground. That's your eye level, or 6 foot. You, your advantage is what? You, your cornrows, your hedges, any of that stuff. You're just so limited to what you see, and in the deer hunting world, particularly they're sneakier than anything. So that 8 foot, 7.5, 8 foot of travel and get you 13 foot in the air is just incredible amount of height.
Absolutely. Anything that you can do to change that perspective. Greg and I are so used to hunting from the ground, trying to sneak in, like you said, with a track chair that has our everyday smell on it, trying to get past an animal that his whole defense system is to be able to sneak past us and be able to detect us. If we can get in there at all from a ground level, if we can get elevated, man, that's a huge bonus for us. It just changes our perspective.
And Dustin, when you're talking about trailers like this, you're talking about mobile units. Mike and I are real familiar with the 5x8 trailer. We both had, track chairs in probably 2010, where that's how we transported our chairs. And I actually went to a boat canvas manufacturer and welded some black gas pipe up around my trailer to make a box, and then had them add a boat canvas cover and a zippered door on the back, so that whenever I transported the chair, it was all covered and enclosed. And then whenever I wanted to hunt with it, I could just unzip the back part and use that as a blind. So you've taken this to a professional level, putting a blind on top and elevating it. But we're well aware of using trailers to get outdoors and the advantages it creates for a person with a disability.
Right. And our trailers, the other thing was like noise, um, that's a huge thing, like Mike was talking a little bit, using in there with your trailers and or track chairs and making noise and coming through the woods. And so our trailer is power up and power down, and it's a 20-second cycle time. So from the time you hit the button till the time you're fully elevated is 20 seconds. And it
Wow.
seems like an eternity to some people, but 20 seconds is not a lot of time. I mean, I watched a lot of people. We were at the Sportsman Show, funny story. And don't, if anyone is listening and gets offended by what I'm saying here, I mean, it's kind of in comical. We were at the Sportsman Show last year, and sat there for 9 days and watched hundreds of thousands of people walk by. And right across the aisle from us was a saddle hunting guy that was selling saddle hunting. And it is a young man's sport. I'm 50 years old. It's not my cup of tea anymore. My son's 19. I think he thinks it's the coolest thing in the world. And it's very popular. And it was funny because I got 9 days to watch what happens here. And they had a kind of a simulated tree set up at their stand, maybe about 10 foot tall. And these guys would hang off them and they hook their stuff to it. And every morning he'd go up and people walk by and you watch this guy go up and down this thing. And it was funny because the guy they had hired there, he would drop stuff and then he'd have to get back down and grab his stuff and go back up it. And it's way more than 20 seconds, way more noise. They're clipping on these little climbing sticks and all these platforms. So it was kind of like, the noise. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go up in that thing, it's going to be 20 seconds, but you're not going up and down. It's not like we're from Pennsylvania. Greg might I call it ain't Hershey Park. It's not a carnival ride. You're not going up and down and up and down. You might do that 4 times in a day's time, in the morning, and then come down maybe mid morning, and then go back up 3 o'clock until till evening. So that was another thing. If we went higher, again, back to the point. Now we're going to go 40 seconds, a minute till that thing gets up in the air.
Right.
So can I always tell guys, when we're talking about these trailers and stuff, everyone wants to make a tire rounder, and sometimes it's an impossible feat. Round is round.
Right.
So where do you get to the point where, okay, we're stopping? I mean, I have guys like, hey, Dustin, could you build that trailer that I can haul my side by side on the back? I'm like, I can, but then that changes that whole perspective. Then you need
Sure.
a huge amount of land to set this thing up. The weight, the vehicle, all the good stuff that you put in. I am going to say, and I usually the first to know about this, I am going to build a 12-footer this year,
Okay.
trailer. So the one we have now is 10 foot by 6.5 foot. And with our hunting blind on, it is you got about 42 to 44. I didn't throw a tape on it recently in my head behind the hunting blind to haul a track chair or wheelchair, your deer kind of thing. So it's a little tight back there, but it still gives you enough that you can haul, your items. You're not hauling multiple things. You can slide a track chair on there, or a wheelchair or any power chair on the back. But that extra 2 foot might help us for a little bit more gear. But what I'm also trying to do is our trailers aren't cheap. I'm not going to sit here and say they're the buy of the century. But I look at our trailers and both of our trailers we build. I try to look at them as pocket knives, as a Swiss Army knife. Like, what can we add to our trailer to make it more utilized by more people, um, and justify pricing? That's a big thing. Like when I built that drop and hunt trailer, what came to my mind? My wife. And I built that trailer, and it was just fastened on the trailer. That's all it was, and you couldn't take it off, and it was what it was. Okay, you could haul your four-wheeler underneath, you could have your hunting blind on top, you take it to your spot, and it was what it was. But it's a hard sell to sell your wife that $5,000 trailer. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what? If I can take this thing off and I can say, hey, honey, I'm gonna buy this hunting blind trailer for $5,000, but I'll have a trailer for 11 months out of the year, and I can go get mulch at Lowe's for you and do this and a honey-do list. Does it lessen the sting? I think so,
Right.
and I incorporated that thought process into the equalizer, the Pro 100 trailer that we built. So here, and I think I sent Greg a couple videos of it. We added a platform to it now, so you can take the blind off. Now, obviously, you're going to need equipment to do that. Skid loader, loader tractor, or something. Slide the blind off, and you'll be able to put a platform that bolts directly onto the base of the scissor stack that you can utilize that as a trailer, just a utility trailer. Haul your side by side on it. Haul, two track chairs, whatever you want. You basically have a 10 by 6.5 trailer for the rest of the season. But then also we made removable railing that goes on that platform to utilize it for duck blind. We have goose hunting around here. It's massive. We have a huge refuge area, and it's the flight pattern is right there. I mean, our farm fields. These guys put concrete blinds in the ground in their farm fields, permanent, and lease these things out because we have the flyway here. So, goose hunting is duck hunting. You'd have to brush it up a little bit more, but you can utilize it that way. Even down south, if you don't want to put a hunting blind on top of the trailer, just because of the heat, per se, you could have an open air blind. You could put, honestly, a pop up blind on top of it.
That that's what I was thinking, Dustin. When you sent me that platform that raised and you had the railing around it, I thought, why couldn't we just put a pop-up blind on the top of that? It would cut down on the weight, enable more weight to be used from the wheelchair and a hunting buddy and our gear. Toss a little Mr. Buddy heater in that thing, and would be good to go. Um, One question is, how is everything powered? Is it batteries and solar, or if we were going to put this blind up somewhere in September and leave it, would it be able to power itself until November, or is it set up more that we bring it back and forth and charge it, or how do we power these blinds?
All right, so how I have it figured out, the system, the guts to the system is, so it's a 12-volt hydraulic system, electric, 12-volt electric over hydraulics pump with a Group 31 deep cycle battery,
Yeah.
all up front, and then we have a 10-watt solar charging panel that's bolted. We do it two ways. If you just buy the trailer and you want the platform, it'll be bolted onto the compartment up front where it houses all the motor, the hydraulics and the battery. There's a 12-volt maintainer charger, so that thing is charging. It's out in the field. It stays out there. It'll stay out there. And sometimes we'll put them on top of the hunting blind, just because it does help. Obviously, I can't tell you guys where to set the trailer up. You got to know where the sun shines. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of your thing. So it has a solar charging system, 12-watt solar or 10-watt solar charging panel that comes with every trailer. Charges your Group 31 battery. It has a battery indicator gauge built into it that when you hit the master switch, it'll light up and it'll tell you what your battery level is. So you don't even waste your time going back there to hit the button. Um, and then so yes, to answer your question, Greg, yes, 100% put it out in September, let it out there. Period. Done. We do offer a trickle charger that we can install on it that if, it's not in service for hunting and you want to just charge it that way. The solar charger really has been a success. We played with a bunch of different ones. I think I finally narrowed down the brand I like and the one that kind of maintains that battery. Obviously, the biggest thing with batteries is right now. Pennsylvania this morning it was minus 10 degrees. You know that stuff, you guys with your track chairs. Batteries are just despise cold weather. So obviously, if cold weather is a factor and you're hunting for a month and it's in the minus degrees, I mean, that battery is taking a beating. So that part of it is in the trailer. Then back to the kind of my background in it. So I want this to be very clear to you guys and you guys understand where cost comes into this. With I call them lawyer buttons. So with my background with Genie and working on aerial equipment, so we have a 1.5-degree tilt sensor built into the lift. It's up in that front compartment, and it's all it is a leveling switch. And basically, the trailer has to be 1 degree forward, 1 degree or 1.5 degrees forward, 1.5 degrees backwards, or left and right within level. 1.5 degrees,
Right.
which is pretty big. If you take it across a 10-foot section, you could kind of be off a little bit. But 1.5 degrees seem to be the most forgiving but safest that we can give you a little uneven terrain, and you might not have it set up 100% level and it'll still work, but that it ain't on a cliff and the thing wants to fall over. So we have the tilt sensor built into it. So when the thing's we have 4 7,000-pound jacks on each corner of the lift. They have about a 28-inch travel distance. So you'll jack those things up, get the thing level, and when it's level, you hit the master key switch and a green light will come on. If the green light does not come on, you ain't going up. As simple as that. And then incorporated into the hydraulic system is a foot valve, or I call them an OSHA valve. So there's a aluminum valve body that's built into the cylinder that is all the soft lines, the hydraulic lines that go to the pump to the cylinder, go through this valve. And if any of those lines would burst, break, anything happens to those hydraulic lines, it locks the cylinder. That you guys are not going anywhere. You're stuck in the air, or stuck down, or whatever it is. But it's an OSHA valve. It locks a cylinder for safety. And then also we have one more feature is an emergency letdown valve. So on that cylinder as well, there's a valve you would open up. So if you guys are stuck up in the air, we lose power. I mean, worst case scenario, everything fails on that contraption and you're stuck in the air. You would now, like the aerial lifts, Genie JLG, you're gonna have to phone a friend.
Right.
You can't get down there. So you would go open that valve up and it'll let the lift come down. We run ATF fluid in our power pack, the power unit there, for a couple reasons. For one, it's accessibility. ATF you can get just about any convenience store if you would need fluid. And number two, for cold weather.
Yeah.
We with the equipment business and being in the equipment world so long, the ATF is way thinner oil and it works way better for cold weather, for going up and down. So that's kind of how that part works.
So Dustin,
Yep.
we're familiar with, like, on our wheelchair lifts on our vans, it's a hydraulic lift, and when it doesn't work, there's a little knob that we have to turn, and it lets the lift go down. So that's your safety valve,
Yes.
if I'm reading you right.
Yep. Same thing.
And that's on the bottom of the trailer, so an
Yes.
able-bodied person would have to climb down and release that force. There's nothing we can do up in the lift,
No.
right?
No,
Okay.
no, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I'm working on some ideas here that there is one that we can run a cable up the boom and maybe have a cable inside the blind that you could be able to pull. It's been done on some other scissors lifts, but it's just there's a lot more to it. And back to the point I think I'm trying to make to both of you guys. I please want you to understand. I can keep adding, but then the cost
Right.
just keeps going up.
Sure.
I
Right.
mean, I just am trying to, our package. I don't. You just probably don't know the price. I mean, and I'll let it out, here to you guys. So our trailer with our blind is 14,995. So $15,000 basically, and that's plug and play. You get one of these things and you're pull it and go hunting. I mean, that's battery in it. That's everything 100% ready to roll. Now, and we do sell the trailer without the hunting blinds. And you can put, and we'll get into that too a little bit. One of my biggest things is I'm trying to partner up with all the major blind manufacturers and telling them here's the trailer. If you got guys that need the accessibility, wheelchair accessibility, and they like your blind or they're close to you or whatever, that their blind can fit on our trailer. So when I designed the blind as well, or the trailer, I tried to incorporate that size. Like, so our footprint's like 78 by 78 inches inside our trailer. That's the biggest blind we can fit on there. Without reinventing the whole entire trailer just because of the way our rails work and just everything, all our structure. So we reached out to a bunch of hunting blind companies. Some could care less about what I'm trying to do, and some kind of were receptive. We did get hooked up with the 360 hunting blind company up in
Yeah.
Higgins area, which is just an hour north of me. And Mark Fisher is the owner and awesome guy. Got to know him the last 2 years at the Sportsman Show, and he wanted to buy the trailer, and we just couldn't come to terms on amounts and just all that good stuff. But he blessed me honestly with the ability to. He gave me one of his hunting blinds. Said put it together, stick it on, see how it looks, see what it looks like, and then let me know, and I'll build it ADA. And I
There
said,
you go.
all right. So I did that, made a video. I don't know if I sent that one to you, Greg, or not, but there's probably some videos online on one of our social medias of it. And they call it the shooting house, which is funny, Dutch shooting house. And anyways, so we did that trailer, and that blind, took it, gave him all the information I got, and he said, can I have one of your trailers now? We want to build this blind to fit the trailer perfectly. So when you call 360 and say, "Hey, we're buying the Pro 100 EQ trailer off of Clearside Outdoors," it'll be the Pro EQ 100 package blind that they build it perfectly. Now it's only got a 36-inch door in, and I know these track chairs are 42, and I just can't get a blind I can't get a blind manufacturer to there's just not enough supply, I guess, or demand for the supply. It's kind of what we're running into. But
Right.
back to 360. So 360 said, look, we'll build this blind. So about 2 weeks ago, I took a trailer up. They had dealer days up there. I took a trailer. So all their dealers from all over the country came to their manufacturing place. We had a trailer up there, showed everyone the trailer, gave out a bunch of literature, and we're looking to get their dealers to be dealers for this trailer throughout the country. And they have dealers from basically from Montana to Georgia to Maine. I think he said he has 87 360 dealers throughout the country. So, for all of you that are interested in this trailer that listen to this podcast, if we can get these guys on board, they got their own blind that they're willing to put on our trailer. And they're going to have, so the partnership I made with them, since we couldn't see eye to eye on the financial end of it, I said, I'll give you guys a trailer. They're going to be at the Great Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania here, February 1st to the 9th. And they're going to take our trailer with their ADA blind on it, and it's going to be at the show. So anyone on the East Coast here that wants to go to that show or is going to go to that show, the trailer will be out at the Cameron Street exit or entrance, which is the big main entrance off of, I guess it's Cameron Street, I believe. And they're going to have it out there. So I don't have to go. I mean, I'm going to go and visit all my buddies, but we won't have a stand up there because the trailer will be represented
Sure.
up there at the show. So that's just another cool thing for 2025.
And go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, Dustin, we do a lot of travel hunts. We go down to Texas and some other places. In pulling these trailers long distance, how well are you seeing that they pull? Any issues whatsoever with all the modifications and everything? How well are they doing just open road getting somewhere?
All right, so the trailer, the way I designed the trailer, so it's got a 3,500 pound axle underneath it. It's rated at 30 or 2990, so it just stays under that 3,000 pounds, so it's not inspected. Don't need brakes, but we kind of beefed up the trailer, put a heavier axle on it, so in case you overload it, you're not maxing it out. The trailer with R blind on it, and the average blind pretty much, but R blind, the way you see the trailer kind of in most of the videos, weighs 2,390, just call it 2,400 pounds is what the
Yeah.
total rig weighs. So you have a little bit room for gear yet, a track chair or a power chair or whatever, and still be safe and legal, 400 or 500 pounds in the back. Um, and yeah, pulling wise, it has a little bit of tongue weight because we have a lot of our gear up front there, battery and things like that. But pulling Dream 85 miles an hour, no problem. I mean,
Good
it's a
deal.
dream to pull. It's very well balanced, and it pulls kind of nice the way we have our blind set up. Our roof kind of it's aerodynamic, so our roof angles front towards the front of the trailer. So when the wind hits it, it's not horrible to pull, as in really pulling you, holding you back. I mean, some of these
Right.
trailers it's like pulling a kite.
Oh yeah.
And and Dustin, when we're talking about hunting equipment for people with disabilities, the average track chair is between what, Mike, 12,000 and $20,000, even maybe a little bit higher than $20,000.
Right, right. If you had
So
rehab seating and whatnot. Yeah.
rehab seating, it's exactly. And if you're talking about a new power chair, they can go up to $90,000, Dustin.
Jeez.
But the average person may not be able to afford your trailer and blind system, but 501(c)s, nonprofits, um, professional hunting lodges, are those your target audience where you sell one to a group or to an outfitter and they use it for multiple clients? I don't know if that's how you're marketing it or what you've thought of that way.
Well, I guess here's where we're at with that. I mean, I got a lot of ways to go on that question because I walked around at the Sportsman Show up in Harrisburg for 2 years straight. The first year, I went with our brochure. We had our trailer there. Went to about 300 outfitters. They all looked at me like I had 10 heads, and like, oh, that's just way too expensive, and kind of dejected, but yet kind of thought to myself, I never went. I went on. I didn't say never. I went on paid hunts before. I went out to Idaho for a bear hunt about 25 years ago. Went down to South Carolina on a deer hunt too. So I know what hunts cost, and this is going back. These guys will charge 10 grand for a 200 class buck.
Right.
Um, and I'm not knocking down the outfitters. I want them to be my customer. But they were kind of like, that's big money. And I'm like, yeah, but this is a gift that keeps on giving year after year. You're not, you raise a 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 year old buck that you've been watching for, 4 years grow, have camera pictures of him and all the stuff you have to give a guy the opportunity to kill it, for, you know, a second. And then you got to re-raise that deer. This thing here, I'm like, I don't quite understand where the traction wasn't as good. The second year we were at the Sportsman Show, a lot more outfitters were into it, but I think last year was just a bad year. Economy was where it was, interest rates are where they were. We're in the middle of an election cycle. It just last year just not. I had a lot of action, but no takers in the outfit world. We're still on the outfit guys. And I guess to be honest with both of you guys, Mike and Greg, our client base is broadening by difference. So we have the handicap wheelchair accessible clients, but we
Right.
have the baby boomers. And the baby boomers are just as much, I'd say 50% of our clientele because they had good jobs and good income and sold the business to their children and have retirement and all that
Right.
is one thing. But then they also have a bad knee and a bad hip. Or look, I'm 65. I don't want to climb a tree anymore.
Right.
or I want to take the grandkids hunting now. I got the money, I got the time, I'm retired, and this is a safe option to put your young children in or grandchildren in. So that's a clientele base. Yes, 100% with the outfitter. And same with the outfitter. That rolls back to the outfitters. And I did a lot of research on this. I just don't know how to target them. The outfitter gets a 50-year-old man like myself as their client in for the first
Sure.
year, and I come every year, and I've been coming for 15 years. Now I'm 65. I'm still your client, but I don't want to hunt in your hunting blind anymore.
That
Yeah.
that's
Keep
exactly what
and
our
yeah,
next question was going to be, Dustin. That in Pennsylvania we have an aging hunter population, and people that still want to hunt well into their 60s and 70s, but don't climb trees anymore. And they are the individuals that go on hunts and spend the 8 or 9 or $10,000 on an outfitter, and they can't get into a tree stand anymore, or they don't feel safe doing it in the dark and coming out in the dark. So the aging hunter population would also benefit from this almost as much as a person that's unable to do it because of a wheelchair or disability.
right.
And you hit the nail earlier when you were talking about creature comforts. We see it all the time going out. You got the guys that say, if you're not sitting in a wooden old school stand, that you're not really hunting anymore. But if we can add the solar capabilities and the charging of appliances and whatnot, then all we're doing is hunting safer, adding modern technology, and we're able to get out there and do it safer. Um, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with being able to add some heat and that kind of thing. Greg and I, we do not process heat the same way we did when we were able-bodied. So if I can add heat and those creature comforts that keep me out there longer, you're right, Dustin. Early in the mornings, we're gonna make some racket. We make that same noise just getting in the woods in a track chair. But the way I look at it, I'm gonna offset that by getting in there extra early, make a little bit of noise, then I get dead silent. And I won't make any more noise. So if we got 20 seconds of rise time, I can offset that by being quiet. Maybe I don't bump that deer off of his bedding area, and then I don't make any more noise until it's shooting time, and I get him time to settle back down. We can offset all that. That's not a big deal. And then Greg and I, we often see this in the wheelchair accessible realm, where people will say, "I can't afford track chairs," or "I can't afford this and that." If we offset and we decide that if it's worth a sacrifice, and I want to be able to do this and do it with better equipment, something like you're developing, it's worth my time and effort in an investment. And this piece of equipment will allow me to get out there better, safer, have a whole different view. Um, then it's worth my time and effort in trying to figure out how to make that money go into the investment of a better hunt.
And Dustin, with you being a Pennsylvania company, I don't know if you're familiar with the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation.
No, and I need to talk to you guys about all that. Everyone keeps saying about these grants. I think Greg, you actually pushed a fella to me from where did you the guy from South Dakota, was that you sending me his information? Um, I think. But they were saying about grants and stuff, and that's something that I know
Mhm.
nothing about. I
We're
truly know nothing about.
we're really blessed here in Pennsylvania residents, with a group out of Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation. They give low interest loans to people that want to use adaptive equipment. And, they could finance a project like this for 10 years and make low monthly payments. If they're borrowing, I think, less than $1,000, there's actually no interest on it. So that's the Pennsylvania Assistive Tech Foundation. And a lot of people with disabilities use them, and it can be a good resource for you. What's the lifespan of a trailer in your opinion? I mean, if it's taken care of and well maintained and that type of thing, how long would something like this last, Dustin?
I mean, I can't. So back to kind of our design features. So when I built this trailer, I thought about all that. Like how long do and maintenance. So like our scissor stack is cut with a 5-axis laser cutter. So it
Yeah.
cuts the whole tubing, all our bushings, everything. And what we do with our trailer is so the slides to make it go up and down are neoprene. no metal, no greasing, no nothing. It's a maintenance-free scissor stack, so you're just gonna be done with it. Like you don't have to do anything to it for your noise, all that. There's no greasing certs. There's nothing that's maintenance-wise. So that is huge for your maintenance down the line that you don't have any. Um, I mean, obviously, depending on how they're stored, I mean, I would recommend not leaving a trailer out in the elements like your hunting spot where there's overgrowth and weeds and all that good stuff that can kind of get kind of up into the unit and kind of overtake it throughout the year. I would
Right.
definitely, after you're done using it, try to pull it back to your main hub, your camp, your cabin, your house, whatever, and try to keep it at least out of that environment that you can get mice getting into the thing and starting chewing on wires and different things like that are going to happen out in the field. I mean, if you ever have a hunting blind that stays just out in the woods all the time, critters get into them all the time. And that's why one of the reasons I built our hunting blinds the way I did, I built our hunting blinds with 1 3/8 steel panels inside and out, top and bottom. That's the blind that you would get for our trailer, on our trailer. And I wanted the critter proof because we in Pennsylvania have porcupines, we have woodpeckers, we have, I don't know what these squirrels for dentists they go to, but they got some massive teeth that they can chew through just about anything.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so we wanted to make our blind critter proof. I call it, and that's a real broad stroke of the brush there, but that it's not you know that the critters aren't getting in and chewing through all the stuff. But you guys know that you leave the stuff out there. So back to your maintenance and how long will they last? You get them out of the elements. You don't leave them out in the woods where all the growth and jagger bushes and all the things can get up underneath it. I mean, I can't imagine a lifetime. I mean, honestly, we would warranty our hunting blinds for your lifetime because I know they're going to last a lifetime. And that's a broad term too because I did the research. Lifetime is 25 years is what the definition of a lifetime warranty is. 25 years non-transferable to the next owner.
So without any, willful damage, neglect, that type of thing, they're warranted 25 years through you.
Well, I don't know if I want to put that on it. I mean, but I'm just saying the hunting blind itself, we do that. I mean, we out of the box, you're going to get a full year bumper to bumper warranty out of the complete rig, out of the box. And then, we're still adapting and moving forward with the company to work with our guys. Like I buy and sell construction equipment every day, and we sell, and it's used. And we never warranted a piece of our equipment in our life because we never get a warranty with our used equipment, but I'd never let my customers hang. You
Right.
understand? Hey, bring it back to the shop. At least we'll eat the labor, or you pay a little bit of the parts and work with people down the line. I'm not talking, brand new out of the box. We warranty everything. Everything's brand new. But I'm dead set on repeat customers, and my name is worth just as much as anything, in both the industries. I want you guys to want to come back and say, hey, Dustin is a down to earth guy. He has some sense to him. He is a commonsensical kind of person, which I try to be. So I understand that, you're taking a big risk with me. You're taking a big shot and a big, check writing part on your end. So, obviously I want to try to make everyone, as comfortable as possible in the transaction.
Gotcha.
Well, Dustin, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? What's your best contact information? We can get out there and we'll put some links to you and also add some of the video and pictures of your trailer and the Clear Sight Outdoors page. But what's the best way for people to
I'm
get in touch with you?
So we have a website. It's Clear Sight, and remember to spell it SIGHT like your eyesight, not like a job site. Clear Sight Outdoors with an S.com is our website. We're on both social medias, our two social medias. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and all of those get directly to me. Um, Unfortunately, that I have to deal with all that stuff, but because I'm not a big fan of it, but I do, I try to do the video content. I got a lot of people reaching out to me to try to help with that, but obviously that's with a fee. So yeah, so social media, Facebook, Instagram, those two are the two main ones, are only ones I have, and then our website is a good place to get. There's some links that you can get right to me, send me emails, for quoting prices. And all that good stuff. Um, I think that's about it where that part of it is. I do want to mention one thing to just touch up. We have a couple seconds here. I do want to mention, um, you had said about we talked about outfitters, talked about the baby boomers and the 501c3s. There is some that we already did. So here, the end of the last year, November. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's called a Clinton Lake Handicap Deer Hunt. It's out of Illinois, and so what they do is they're a nonprofit. They take the handicap, obviously, and veterans, and they are partnered up with the Clinton Lake Park, which is in Illinois, and it's a state park like a DCNR, like we have in PA, a
Okay.
DCNR park. And it's a park that I guess, from what I understand through this transaction, I dealt with a Darren and Charles. Charlie is the DCNR guy. Darren is in charge of the Clinton Lake Handicap Deer Hunt. And they partnered together, which is awesome. Here's a perfect example of how good people can be in this community. So the Clinton Lake Handicap Deer Hunt partnered up with the Clinton Lake DCNR, and they shut the park down in November. I can't think of the exact date. It's 3 days. They shut the park down, and they this is, I think, going on 25 years that they do this. Um, and I might be getting some of this wrong. This is just all bits and pieces I got through the transaction. They ended up they take 60 hunters for 3 days, and it's like not a drawing, but it's like first come first serve from what I gather. And they end up getting people to come to this hunt, and they kick everyone out of the park, and they basically have a hunt, and it's basically for deer control. And they have about a 50% success rate, and they said they'd probably have 100% if some of the guys weren't trophy hunters. Because there's trophy hunting going on. Because Illinois, I mean, they're in the Golden Triangle. This lake is located like kind of in the Golden Triangle, they call it, of the deer hunt, where the three states come together: Missouri and Illinois, and I think Kansas, kind of the big producing deer areas. So, anyways, a fella that founded that or started that company, and I apologize, I don't have his name in front of me. Passed away. He donated money. I think it went to the DCNR in honor of the Clinton Lake Handicap Deer Hunt. They reached out to me. This all happened within 2 weeks of their hunt. Hey, Dustin, I heard you have this trailer. We seen this trailer online. Da, 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 da. Can you sell us one of these trailers? You have one in stock. Make this happen. And I did. And we did. We made it happen. It got out to them. They had it for the hunt. They hunted out of it. They did not have any success out of it. They had rain, and all kinds of bad weather came in, and different things didn't go their way. They had a successful hunt, but they have, so the Department of Natural Resources, Illinois, is who wrote the check to me and who owned the trailer. So that being said, and maybe you guys can help me and direct me a light bulb went off in my head when this happened. Why can't other states have this capability for,
Right.
you know,
It-
I don't know.
that is a really good question. And one of the things Mike and I are always trying to do is advocate and to get people outdoors, Dustin. And it's really happening a lot down in Georgia with Amy Copeland. Her foundation are getting track chairs into state parks. They're really getting people out on disabled hunts. Uh, we see it more down south, and we're working on getting more of it to come north to South Carolina. And I'm working with a couple of senators here in Pennsylvania. I'll be having some things to get announced hopefully this year. But as more and more people realize that people with disabilities, aging population still wants to get out in the outdoors, I think people are trying to make that happen. So it's going to take advocacy on all of our parts, getting the word out with podcasts like we're doing. But I think it is getting a little bit more normal or more prevalent. What do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Greg. It's about making sure that these products are known. Dustin, I know South Carolina, our DNR, they own a couple of like the Hunt Master hunting blinds. I don't know if you've ever
Yep.
seen those. They're and it's just about, once the product's known, it's been tested, and word gets out, hey, these are products that are reliable. DNR is worth, once we start pushing buttons and saying, hey, we want to be doing more of these hunts. Our South Carolina DNR, they host several hunts a year. We just tell them, hey, this is something that will give us another advantage. It's not a product that we're asking for just because we want to have a willy-nilly. This is going to give us an advantage in the woods, allow us to be successful. DNR sees the interest in it. They see and understand what all's going into it. Then they're willing to spend some of the money on it. It's just about anything else, making that product known, budgeting for it, and it's just making it come to fruition. It's all about the advocacy and the push. And that's part of what me and Greg are trying to do in these podcasts, but also just in the day-to-day life of what we have to deal with.
And there's an organization again down in Georgia, Chip's Nation, who Chip is dealing with the Department of Natural Resources in Georgia, and they're doing a wonderful thing down there. So we'll get you some contact information, Dustin, and some groups that maybe you can contact. Yep. And at least get your product out in their eyes and see what they have to say. But we really appreciate you coming on today. I know we could keep going on, and talk hunting in the outdoors and accessibility all day long. Those are Mike and I. We have a passionate about that. Mike, do you have anything else to wrap up with, or?
I want to just piggyback off what you said, Greg. Dustin, I want to thank you, man, for having the sight to see the vision, to see that you wanted to add this part, the disability capabilities to it. Thank you very much for that and your continued push to come up with safety and putting the creature comforts in and making it change and bringing us into it. That's not the norm. Unfortunately, we're seeing it more with the ableistic type society where disability is on the hindsight. If we don't push for it, it's not brought to it. You were ahead of that game. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I definitely have some questions because I like what you've got. Looking at your site, you got a good looking product. And I thank you again for allowing us to take a little bit of time to be able to highlight you.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was awesome meeting you and talking with you, and I hope you guys truly just understand and kind of see my vision and help me through it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, you guys are in a different position, but I think it's if we can all come together in a group, kind of deal and say, hey, I'm not in this for this is not my main job. This is fun. This is fun. I'll tell you that this is fun. This is what I like to do on my spare time, which is kind of crazy, and maybe I shouldn't say that, but I enjoy my passion of hunting, incorporating into my knowledge and my hands-on of the engineering part of my normal business. So that all, when I say it's fun, that's what helps drive me for it. When this becomes a business that is not fun anymore, or something that is just I'm out for the money, this doesn't fund anything, if you get what I'm saying. I mean, it does. I mean, it funds itself, but it's not. I'm not reaching out to anyone to say, hey, I need this to pay my bills. I got a business that I'm truly that keeps us rolling. But this is just something that's just it's something for me to give back. I mean, God gave me this knowledge,
right,
and I need to use it. And that's where I really came up with that. Dustin, you didn't just come up with this on your own. Years ago, before I got saved, I used to think I just have this little voice in my head, and it wasn't that voice in my head. It was the Holy Spirit saying, Dustin, you got this
100%.
knowledge. You need to do it. You need to. And it's tough sometimes because I still think it's that voice in my head going, oh, build this, do this. No, use your God gave me a talent, and that talent I have to utilize, and I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, we sure appreciate you coming on, and believe me when I say nobody gets into building things for the outdoors for people with disabilities to try to make a living at it. It's an expensive thing. I mean, everybody wants things donated and everybody wants things for free, but this equipment costs money, it costs labor, it costs time, and you have to be able to make a profit in order to be able to stay in business and to be able to help more people than just one person. So Mike and I do thank you for everything you're doing. We look forward to talking with you more and helping you along as best we can. And we'll talk again soon, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys again. That have been great and great. Thanks.